When I was in Savannah, Georgia, I taught 8th grade Georgia studies for 2 years, and I would have my students keep track of an interactive journal, and that's where they kept all of their notes and information for the entire class. So the right side would be designated for either notes or an activity that they were doing, while the left side was warm-ups, exit tickets, and sometimes other activities as well, or study guides. So just a couple of examples of the types of exit tickets I would do. We were studying the regions of Georgia, and so they did a map, colored it in, and labeled everything. And then for their exit ticket, they had to compose a tweet. And the tweet had to have their name and then something that they learned during the lesson. Another example, after completing guided notes during a lesson, they had to then, for their exit ticket, you do an acrostic poem on something that was in the lesson. So this lesson was about westward expansion and the Yazoo land fraud. So one of the examples was to do an acrostic poem about fraud. And so for every letter, they had to write something that they learned about the Yazoo land fraud. I also, a lot of times, would do the 3-2-1 exit tickets, as well as simply just have them answer the essential question. And if we were really short on time, I would have them tell me the answer to a question as they were exiting my classroom. Coming up in the following years when I'm a teacher in Texas, I would obviously like to continue the idea of exit tickets, using them every day. I'll probably still keep an interactive journal for my students. I like this because I can just go back in the end of the day and quickly look through all of their answers and see, if half the class got something completely wrong or wrote down something that we didn't learn in class that day, then I can either focus my attention on those particular students, or I might just address the whole class at the beginning of the lesson the next day to make sure everybody's on the same page and that no student gets left behind. I plan on using the same strategies when I become a teacher. And I also would like to use the idea of, writing down the answers on Post-it notes and putting it to the door. And then I could just right away look at them and read them. And that way, I think that would help me, because if I notice something, there's a problem or an issue with something, I can address it in the next classes rather than wait until the next day to address an issue that occurred during the lesson.